Hey there LEGO fans, and welcome back to another build. For this week's release, we have the Lamborghini Sián. Kit number 42115 at 3,696 pieces. And if this is anywhere near as cool as the Bugatti kit I did earlier, this is going to be one epic display piece, filled with a whole host of advanced mechanical features. And I'm really looking forward to getting a closer look at all of that. So let's get this thing unboxed so we can get this build underway and get a closer look at the Lamborghini Sián. Another large Technic kit done, and another set that impresses me not only in size and aesthetic design, but with a host of mechanical features found within. And here we have the Technic's Lamborghini Sián PFK 37, a stunning looking kit that's very eye-catching with this green paint job, gold rims, those rather unique looking headlights, and being almost 2 feet or 60 centimeters in length, this kit is sure to get noticed. Starting with the aesthetics, right in front, we've got the little Lamborghini logo at the head of the hood, which is flanked on either side by these striking headlights, which is all mounted above this huge skirt that covers the whole front of the car. Flipping open the hood reveals not the engine, because that's located in the back. Instead, we have a teeny tiny luggage compartment with one little day bag inside. Not having enough room for luggage for a trip or to do a grocery run, but the designers of this car did not have those uses in mind. Coming around the side to the front wheel, we have the eye-catching golden rim, with the Lamborghini logo right in the center, disc brake right behind that, and between the two, the red brake caliper, which is mounted in a way to allow the wheel and disc brake to spin freely while the caliper remains motionless in place. A small little detail, but it does look pretty great. Making our way to the back, this sleek, low-profile design just flows over every curve as we make our way to the matching gold rims in the back, and the little fins mounted above those. Right next to those, we have the 3-point taillights, which are mounted just beneath my favorite part of the car, the spoiler. Comprised of all these tiny little pieces that when you set them together make this really cool shape that looks like bird wings mid-flat. Anyway, I think it looks awesome. At the bottom, we've got the twin exhausts, and right in the center, it's written Lamborghini. The suspension for this car is made up of 8 springs, 2 per wheel, giving the back a very bouncy suspension, but unfortunately in the front, being a little heavier, doesn't quite rebound as far as it does in the back. To get inside, we have the Lamborghini exclusive scissor doors, which are activated by pressing the discrete little buttons hidden in the roof just behind the cab. In the interior, on the driver's side, we've got a tiny little dash, a set of paddle shifters, the forward, neutral, and reverse gear, which we'll both get back to in a minute, and of course the steering wheel, which, not surprisingly, does work. Over on the passenger side, we get a good look at the seat, which you can see has very high sides to keep you well in place and looks very comfortable. And just in front of the seat, we have this little lever, which you can use to raise and lower the rear spoiler. Now to the engine compartment, which you can access by lifting off this little panel just in front of the spoiler. In here, we find the massive Lamborghini V12 engine, with all these tubes coming off on either side. Unfortunately, due to how everything is mounted in here, you can't actually see most of the pistons in this engine. As you spin the wheels, you can see some of them moving, but most of them are really quite obscured and you really can't see them, which is really unfortunate. But I did build them, I assure you, they're under there and they are moving. As a little oddity I noticed, on the other side of the engine compartment, we have these 2 little blue pegs that don't seem to serve any actual purpose. They aren't holding anything together, and normally these little protruding bits are used to attach a decorative flat plate on top of it or something. But after carefully checking the instructions, I can assure you that nothing is supposed to go here, but it seems to me that something is missing. For the final feature in the engine compartment, the rear suspension is quite exposed, so you can see the springs hard at work as you bounce suspension up and down. And now, by flipping Lamborghini on its back, we can see on its belly the 8-speed gearbox is fully exposed for us to examine. Here we have all these gray little sliders, 2 on the top that are easy to see and 2 a little further down that are a little more obscured. And by clicking through the paddle shifters, you move each one from position as being engaged on the top, engaged on the bottom, or sitting in the middle neutral, not engaging any of the gears. When the wheels are spinning, all the gears are moving, making it a little bit difficult to follow the actual transfer of power. But if you sit out long enough and you have a deep look, you can actually see how the power transfers from one gear ratio to the next, giving you that 8-speed transmission. And if you look closely, a little further down, we can see over here the rear differential, and behind all the gears, we have the underside of the pistons, so we can actually see that there are 12 of them, and they are all moving. And finally, we have the forward, neutral, reverse selector, which, when engaged, allows the pistons to be turned as the gears are turning. Otherwise, as the wheels turn, the pistons remain motionless. With the features all covered, I think it's pretty safe to say that this kit was made for display. It's very large, the details are impressive, it's sleek, and it comes in a flashy sports car color, which is sure to stand out. But it doesn't stop there, because there's a host of mechanical features within that are sure to impress your guests as you show them all the features that exist within. As a play kit, I don't find this kit scores very high. And there's certainly some fun to be had here, but it's a little bit too large and unwieldy to have any real playtime action with it. If you want to have some fun with Lego Lamborghinis, Speed Champions has some nice small kits that are much better suited. And finally the parts, if you are someone who can actually take this one apart, which if you've been watching my videos you'll know, will not be me, the parts found within, like all Technic kits, are really quite fantastic, so if you do want to reuse these pieces, you have a lot of options. And finally, now that I have both the Lamborghini and the Bugatti, and I've seen so many debates online of which one is better, I'm going to throw in my 2 cents. Aesthetics aside, these 2 kits have more similarities than they have differences. Both are the same size, made to the same scale, and both have very similar drive systems, each having front and rear differentials linked to an all-wheel drive system, all plugged together to an 8-speed gearbox and a forward, neutral, and reverse gear selector. They both have rear suspensions that are very bouncy, and front suspensions that are supporting extra weight, so don't quite rebound as far as I would like. In either case, a little disappointing. Both have retractable rear spoilers. In the case of the Lamborghini, it's one little switch in the passenger seat, but the Bugatti requires a special tool that you insert behind the rear wheel. So while it seems less advanced, not having internal control, it actually, as it raises, changes angle, adding an extra element of articulation as it moves up and down. When it comes to the doors though, I think the Lamborghini is the clear winner. On the Bugatti, they open as cars doors normally do, swinging out to the side, but they feel a little flimsy to me, not very securely attached. Whereas in the Lamborghini, we've got that cool little switch hidden in the roof that open the scissor doors straight up, adding an extra mechanical component, which also make the doors feel more securely attached than they do on a Bugatti. As to the engines, I think the Bugatti is the clear winner. First, it's got 16 cylinders, so it's just more moving components to show off, which looks great. But on a Lamborghini, as I said earlier in the video, you can't really see most of the pistons moving. I know there's 12 of them under there, but can't really show them off, so points lost. And for the final thing that sets the two apart, while they do both have very similar transmissions, on the Bugatti it's completely hidden within. So for some people they might like that, because it's very sleek on the bottom, finished and sealed up. But on the Lamborghini it's exposed, so you can actually see how it works. For me, personally, I love to see how the mechanics come together. I love to be able to show them off and try and figure them out and explain it to others. On a Bugatti, you don't really get to do that. So, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I think the Lamborghini wins out here. As you can see, the difference between these two really aren't that great. One comes ahead a little bit in one category, comes a little bit behind the other, but no one has a clear lead. So, in the end, I think it really comes down to what do you prefer, green or blue? But either way, if you're loving one, you're sure to love the other. And despite myself having a slight preference for blue, if you can afford it, I would have to recommend both.